Ladies and gentlemen, we're working, yes. But ladies and gentlemen, it's an emergency broadcast. Yes, the Iranian analysis is coming very soon. I need to talk about the Synarchist movement. Thank you, Che Guevara. You know who you are. Back in 2020, I just arrived in Mexico, and Che Guevara said, "Hey, Brendon, have you heard of the Synarchist movement?" And I said, "Yeah, vaguely, something about Franco out of Spain." And I went, "Oh." And I thought, you know what? I'm right in the heart of the Synarchist movement, right here in Querétaro, Mexico. And if you know about Christ is King, Christos Rey, the struggle between Messiah, anyway, it's a long story, but I just want to give you a little heads up, which will make a lot of your brains click, because my brain's been clicking hard. So I was actually looking up with good old AI. I was looking up good old Gemini AI, and I thought I need to get up to date on all the names and places of Iran, because I know President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He was someone I wanted to meet when I was in Iran. And I just say, give me a quick rundown on the Iranian leadership. Also, where is former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad? Please give me a correct spelling of his name. And so I'm just doing a quick rundown of this, and I'm getting a bit of update, so on, because I can give you some really boutique information on Iran. I will remember to look into this screen. I'm so happy too with this DJI mic. It's so freaking good. The sound quality on the mic too, with the 32-point floating, it's freaking awesome. And this is all being done in real time. Anyway, and I thought, I better just while I'm here, let me have a quick look at this Maria Corina Machado, the central figure in Venezuela's opposition. Who is she? And I'm noticing some very interesting things about who she is. Very interesting. So we're just going to go into Venezuela and this movement, which is to unite the Spanish-speaking world. And it has German roots. Anyway, let's look. Read with me. You're gonna like this. Sorry, I will remember to look into the right screen. So, Maria Corina Machado, and you know who that is. This is this woman here, just to get you up to date on who that is. And here's DW. DW is quite good. German TV. Let's just make sure everything's on properly.
The Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado for promoting democratic rights in her country. The committee called her a unifying figure in a political opposition that was once deeply divided. Machado was praised for trying to loosen the authoritarian government's rigid hold on power. She entered politics in 2002 as the founder of the vote monitoring group Somate. Machado was one of hundreds of candidates nominated for the award.
She's, of course, giving the Nobel Prize to Trump. Very funny. Now, Trump appears to be very reticent about employing her. She's got a background in industrial engineering and a master's in business. She's from an old steel-making family, one of the old families of Venezuela. I want you to work with me on this. Let's do a production together. Get researching, use your AI, use your tools, use your knowledge, and give me summaries in email format. And then tell me what name you want to use under producer. Because in the age of Aquarius, Pluto is an Aquarius, I want to start getting people together more involved and form a little group. It'll get people involved a bit more. As we move further into the year, 2026 will be a good year, I promise you. Some places it won't be a good year, but for us fat, lazy Westerners, it will be a pretty good year, and you'll all work out by March, April, May, June, that things are not too bad and a lot of the anxiety is lifted, and you're going to be a lot more positive, I promise you. But get a load of what she does a lot of. She does a lot of this, putting her hands like this. Now, if you don't know, that's Opus Dei. I also feel it's linked in with the Synarchist movement. This is Opus Dei stuff, which the Shia also do. You know, when I was, and I have Sunni and Shia friends, if I was going to say where Shia Islam comes from, and I'm not talking about the literal place it comes from, I know literally where it comes from, the split and divide with the Prophet and so on, and his cousin and so on. When I went to Iran, I felt I was in Catholic land. I felt I was in an Orthodox place. They venerate tombs like we venerate icons. It was almost freaking identical to what you would call traditional Catholic, Orthodox, Christian church. They had pictures of Imam Ali, which looked like pictures of Christ, which they venerate. They're also very emotional people, which is important. If I had to look, Sunnis like the masculine side of Islam, and Shia is like the feminine side, and apparently it comes unified in the Sufi mystics, but let's not get into that. But I just remembered, anyway, let's keep watching. Let's keep watching. Let's keep watching. This is really important stuff because I'm onto something. My little spider, my Pluto, Scorpio, Spidey senses are tingling. Something's going to come together. All these Catholic, Vatican II Catholics, the converts, the J.D. Vance and co. You know, Tucker's got the posters of Fatima behind him, and Catholic Mason Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, the closet homosexual, little deviant pedophile. He's talking about a Catholic theocracy, and I'm just sitting here stroking my beard. They'll all love Putin, defending Putin night and day. Relationship between Putin and Germany, Gerhard Schroeder, level of the Rothschild Synarchist Movement. Let's keep talking. Now watch what she does with her arms.
And for more on the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Corina Machado, we are joined now by...
Let me find it. Let's cut. Your time is precious. Now watch this. She's going to put her hands across. She, of course, puts it on her heart. That's normal. Puts it out. Now notice the difference between that and the Adolf Hitler salute. It was an Adolf Hitler salute that Elon Musk did. But there was nothing else but that. He did on purpose. And you'll understand who was behind also Adolf Hitler. Now watch what she does.
Challenging authoritarian power that is Chavismo without violence.
All right. She'll always put her hands across like this constantly. You watch the whole video, you'll see her do it. Keep an eye out and find me. Maybe that's just part of her thing, like I'm embracing love. I don't believe that. I believe there's something more going on. It's very Opus Dei-ish. And I was being introduced into the Opus Dei community in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. They, of course, were involved in Royal Malay military intelligence. Let's get back to this. Let's keep reading. So here's the organization supporting her. Based on your interest in Maria Corina Machado's network, here is a deep dive into the two very different, this is important, very different European organizations supporting her. While both support Machado, they come from opposite sides of the European right-wing spectrum. Vox, which is based in Spain, represents the nationalist populist right, while the Friedrich Naumann Foundation represents the pro-business classical liberal centre. Vox is from Spain, political party far right, national conservative, founded 2013, leader Santiago Abascal, European affiliation, Patriots for Europe, allied with Viktor Orban of Hungary. How interesting. Pro-Putin all the way. And Marine Le Pen of France. How interesting. All super pro-Putin. And remember, Gerhard Schroeder was Putin's best buddy, the head of Gazprom, the former chancellor of Germany, of course, deep in with Evelyn de Rothschild. And we need to get that up, just briefly. And so there's Gerhard Schroeder. He's worked with Rothschilds for many decades. And you know, the very close boyhood, almost gay, very gay, maybe Nick Fuentes will get onto it, relationship between these two, because Putin is, of course, a Rothschild asset. He's not a Russian nationalist. He's not an anti-globalist. He's been close friends with Klaus Schwab for 30 years. Klaus Schwab, a protege of Kissinger, of course, and Kissinger and Yevgeny Primakov put Putin in, along with his little devil-worshipping friends like Alexander Dugin, etc., et al. So we just need that little bit of background. So the ideology and agenda, the point is to make this into a coherent voiceover narrative. So help me out here. Let's try and get this info together, make it like a little document. Maybe we will do some Zoom meetings, but only if you are a subscriber on I'll probably center it around Patreon. Patreon, give me my freaking live streaming back. That was the final straw. I love that live streaming on Patreon. It was personal. You were like my friends. We could disagree. I don't like YouTube. I hate YouTube with a passion. So ideology and agenda. Vox is a Spanish nationalist party that broke away from the mainstream centre-right Partido Popular because they felt it had become too soft. Their core ideology is national conservatism. Centralism, Spain first. They want to abolish the autonomy of Spain's regions like Catalonia and the Basque Country and create a single centralized government. Anti-socialism, this is where they connect with Machado. Vox created the Madrid Forum. Remember, Club of Rome, the King of Spain was heavily involved in all that stuff, I might add, and all the climate change bullshit. and the Charter of Madrid to unite the Spanish-speaking world, the Iberosphere, the Spanish-speaking world against the threat of communism posed by the Sao Paulo Forum, a network of leftist Latin American groups. And we know when we get this right-left dialectic, we know exactly who's in there, don't we? The culture wars. They are strongly anti-feminist, opposing gender violence laws they claim discriminate against men, and anti-woke, positioning themselves as defenders of Catholic traditional Spanish values. Yeah, of course you are. Just like Nick Fuentes. Relationship with Machado, and I want to find the links with Nick Fuentes. I know he's in with the Texas Billionaire Oil Group, and even little Candace Owens pointed out a few things about him. And he went down there and gave his mailing list away, but he's also down there with people who, what? They put money into the Daily Wire. In fact, they created the Daily Wire and were very close with Ben Shapiro, and yet there is Nick Fuentes down there meeting with them. How interesting. How interesting. The relationship with Machado's Vox sees Machado as a key ally in the culture war against the Latin American left. They view her fight not just as a struggle for democracy, but as a battle to reclaim Venezuela from Castroism and narco-communism. Machado has signed their Charter of Madrid, which solidifies their alliance. So she's actually signed up with them. Now think about it. The woke, once you get people talking the woke agenda, you know you've got an enemy, because they're not talking about Jewish power. They're not talking about the Bank of England, the City of London, the Rothschild network. They're not talking about all this, but they're stuck in the right-left paradigm. There is your enemy. You know they're full of shit. Immediately. Now, this is the other side of the dialectic. The Friedrich Naumann Foundation, political foundation, think tank, NGO, there's your first clue. Founded in 1958, headquarters Potsdam, Germany, European affiliations Renew Europe. The Liberals are allied with Emmanuel Macron of France and the FDP Germany. Let's get a picture up. Okie dokie. There is First Lady, good old Claudia Sheinbaum, our Hungarian Jewish Mexican Prime Minister. Does a pretty good job of administrating Mexico City. I must admit, Mexico City is damn beautiful. I mean, I know it has poor areas, but let me tell you, it's a very safe, very beautiful city. I'm surprised they don't advertise it more. Excellent speaker. I'm pretty sure she speaks French as well as fluent English and obviously Spanish. And there is Macron. Emmanuel Macron was 5 years working for the Rothschilds. He's, of course, married to a man dressed as a woman, Brigitte Macron, who probably does have a dick. Candace is going to keep us well informed on that. But Macron, when he was 14, and the 40-year-old man, now a woman, who dated him and married him, a pedophile, because that's where all the weirdness comes from. There's David de Rothschild. He's always with Evelyn de Rothschild. Now, as you know, the tension between Trump and Macron is real. Trump basically hates Macron. Macron hates Trump. This is where you find people attacking Trump mercilessly. By all means, there's plenty to attract Trump on, but when they mercilessly go after him, it's getting a little complicated now, because France is the enemy, Germany is the enemy, Sweden is the enemy, Denmark is the enemy, the Netherlands is the enemy, all the elites, all the royal families, all the old Hofjuden. As we did in that previous video recently, the Hofjuden. Once we understand this concept, that's what the fight's about. That doesn't make Donald Trump a saint or the people behind him, but I'm trying to tease out a coherent narrative. It's got to be coherent, and that's what I'm asking you to help with. It's not about hating Trump because of this, because of that. There's so many people involved as we move through this whole scenario. A lot of people, I've been approached by Opus Dei Jesuits. I'm still alive. Why is that? They're not bad people. There's not bad people in the lodge, in the synagogues, in the mosques, in the various churches. A lot of them simply don't know. The ideology and agenda of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation is affiliated with the Free Democratic Party in Germany. Their core ideology is classic liberalism. Remember, I want Trump to free the Europeans from this parasite, okay? Economic free. And above all, I want a rehabilitation of Germany in the Second World War, so that the guilt of the Second World War is removed from the shoulders of the German people once and for all, because there's a lot of guilt to go around about Adolf Hitler and who was involved with him and funding him. Economic freedom, they promote free markets, privatization and individual property rights. They are the ideological opposite of socialism. Civil liberties, unlike Vox, FNF is socially liberal. They support the rule of law. Well, yeah, we all support the rule of law. Human rights, yes, we believe humans have rights, that's correct. And typically support LGBTQ plus rights and open societies. Well, there's our first clue. We're dealing with Soros and the gang, isn't it? The left arm of the dialectic. Global reach, because this tiny portion of the community is just so vital. We must support. They already have the most rights of everyone on this planet. They lead the corporate world because they're dinks, are double income, no kids. These guys and gals are climbing the corporate ladder like you wouldn't believe and have enormous power, but they're always telling you they have no rights and they're so oppressed and everyone's fucking sick of it. And an inevitable backlash is coming. So watch out, Rainbow Coalition. Let's just all go back to how it used to be in the 80s and 90s, where everyone just minded their business and didn't give two shits who's where you put your dick, which body orifice. No one freaking cared until this dialectic was created as the foundation system propped up these half-witted lunatics on multiple issues to push up all these issues to get us fighting amongst each other, whether it's along gender lines, racial lines, sexual orientation lines, whether you like wearing your wife's frilly knickers. Let's get them fighting over that, but never bankers, never bankers, never bankers. And that's a problem. The relationship with Machado, FNF, has supported Machado for years because her party, Vente Venezuela. Vente is for sale. For sale. Sell Venezuela? Is a member of their liberal network. Her view as a champion of economic liberalism, someone who wants to privatize the state oil company and deregulate the economy, to them, she is a freedom fighter for capitalism, democracy, fitting perfectly into their mandate to promote Deutschland, German liberal values abroad. Oh, okay. Do you know about the German jihad? Let's go and look that up right now. Oh, no, let's get to that. The strategic convergence. It is rare for a German liberal foundation and a Spanish nationalist party, oh no, they've worked together before, don't worry about that, to agree, as they usually fight each other in the European Parliament. Oh, of course they do in the dialectic. However, they converge. We have convergence, ladies and gentlemen, on Maria Corina Machado for different reasons. Vox, she's anti-communist, and the other one, she's a champion of free markets. Summary, you can think of Vox as her ideological muscle regarding anti-socialism and hardline tactics, while the Friedrich Neumann Foundation provides her with intellectual and financial legitimacy in the world of global finance and policy. Oh, I bet they do. Now I put here, find me the links with the Synarchist movement, if any, out of Spain and other areas. This is important to understand. Based on your request, it appears you're referring to the Synarchist movement, often called Syncretism or Synarchismo. Since you are researching political commentary and deep politics, you are likely looking for the intersection between French technocratic elites, Catholic mysticism, oh now we're getting somewhere, and fascism that operated in the mid-20th century. And now I'm going to link that in with clavicular, you know, the looks movement, little friend of Nick Fuentes, or the beautiful gay boys, and they're taking steroids, they're promoting steroid use, they're promoting methamphetamine and cocaine use for weight loss. They're all over the internet. It's a huge movement, and you know they put a stop to a movement like that. But no, not this movement. And there's Nick Fuentes, the most cancelled man in America, all over the internet, as we've seen, all over YouTube. Clavicular. I'm doing a video on that. I want to start linking it all together. Even Stu Peters, who did a really good video recently. I'm going to link Stu Peters with all of those people. I'm going to link Catholic Mason, Candace Owens, to all of those people. There are also some people who were originally with Lyndon LaRoche many years ago, have since separated. They are pushing a very similar theme to what I'm pushing, that he's smashing this globalist agenda here right now. That's why you've seen the viciousness come out, and there they all are getting their money out of Qatar. And you have the half-wits of Laura Loomer and Ben Shapiro, but they won't attack them on core issues. It's quite a little fight going on now, isn't it? It's quite a little fight over non-issues. You know, Megyn Kelly. Ben Shapiro calls me nasty names on X and he says I'm not allowed to talk to these people. I will not be told, oh, Megyn, you're a hero, Megyn Kelly. Oh, my God. I can't believe they get away with this, but Americans assure me no Americans lap this shit up. But I don't know if I believe that anymore. So here is the rundown on the Synarchist links to Spain, Mexico, and France. Remember Claudia, remember Obrador and the Marano parties, all of the parties. Remember all of these parties. These are not operating with narco-terrorists and narco-traffickers. The narco-traffickers are on Wall Street. They're in Paris, France, on the markets. They're in Frankfurt, Germany. They're in Moscow, Okay, they're in Basel, Switzerland at the Bank of International Settlements. These people are not operating independently, just as Xi Jinping is not operating as this independent Chinese operator. All right, he works for people. There was never a major political party in Spain literally named the Synarchist Party. Instead, Spain, specifically under Francisco Franco, served as the ideological hub and safe haven for the movement, which operated under the guise of Phalangism, and they were also in Lebanon, I might add. The link: the Spanish Phalange provided funding, intelligence, and ideological direction to Synarchist movements abroad, particularly in Mexico. The concept: they utilized the concept of Hispanidad, the unity of Spanish-speaking peoples, to counter US and Anglo-Saxon influence in Latin America. The concept they utilized, the concept of Hispanidad, the unity of Spanish-speaking peoples, to counter US and Anglo-Saxon influence in Latin America. This is the Monroe Doctrine, what that was brought up. So, when you see people viciously attacking Trump, they're either ignorant, or the Trump administration and the DOD, the Department of Defense, or the Department of War, the Dow. Yeah, the Dow. Think about this. When they took out Maduro, who's sending 40 billion euros of cocaine, liquid drug money and liquid drug cash and cocaine products into the ports of Rotterdam and Antwerp. Remember that. No one else is putting this together. Few people sharing links. So let's get together more and let's work out a coherent narrative that we can put into a voiceover. The key figure, Phalange Exterior. This was the foreign arm of the Spanish Phalange that coordinated with Synarchist groups to promote a, quote, Catholic corporate state model globally. All these Vatican II Catholic converts in the Trump administration. How interesting. Nick Fuentes, who's telling the vice president to go F himself, and he won't come to dinner with the vice president because he doesn't want to deal with his Indian wife who eats shit with her hands. That's literally what Nick Fuentes says. So who the hell's behind Nick Fuentes? Or in actual fact, there is no divide. Because J.D. Vance's wife has been placed there, so when J.D. Vance becomes president and they have to replace China with India, India will have good relations with the United States. That's what it's for. And I'm all for that, because Mexico will replace China for supply chain as well as this region down here. The Mexican hub, Unión Nacional Synarquista. This is the most public face of the movement. Organization Unión Nacional Synarquista, National Synarchist Union, founded in 1937 in León, Mexico, not too far from Querétaro, just to the northwest. Politics, clerical fascist, anti-communist, anti-USA. The Nazi link, this is important. This is important. It was co-founded by Helmut Schreiter. I have to look him up. Got to get all these cool names, do a good look up. This is where AI is fantastic to get it all together. Then do your own script, because AI scripts, you can spot them a mile away. A German professor and alleged Nazi intelligence agent alongside Mexican Catholics. They used the movement to destabilize the US southern border during World War II. Wow, how interesting. That's why the US has taken 200 miles of border. How interesting. Now, I don't want to besmirch the wonderful Swedish people I've met here, but there's a lot of Swedes down here whose wives run witches' covens and are very Scheinbaum organizers, I might add. And the Swedes, they were all involved with these movements. The Swedish royal family, very close to the Windsors. Very interesting. I'm trying to work it out, all right? We need a coherent narrative. I don't just want to hear your little one-sided view. Okay, I want a coherent narrative that works. Status today, it still exists as a fringe group, but was historically a massive force, 500,000 plus members in the 1940s that essentially acted as the Mexican branch of the Spanish Phalange. The French origin, movement Synarchiste the Empire. This is the deep state origin of the term, like most relevant to your research on elites definition in France. Synarchy refers to the theory that a secret society of technocrats and bankers. Oh no, that couldn't possibly be. Could it? Macron, Emanuel, with your husband, with your husband? Sorry, could it be in with the Rothschilds? No way. That a secret society of technocrats and bankers associated with bank worms infiltrated the government to overthrow the Third Republic and install the Vichy regime. Ideology, synarchy, rule together, a technocratic rule by an elite class bypassing parliament and democracy. Esoteric roots, the term was coined by Alexander St. Yves to something or other, 19th century occultist. He envisioned, you ready? You ready for this? He envisioned a United States of Europe ruled by a Supreme Council of elites. Golly freaking gosh. I've heard about that somewhere before. And there was recently a president and a vice president that went after the EU and said they were designed purely to bring down the United States. I have to try and find that information again. Wow, everyone. This is gold information that we can put together. Could really start linking stuff. Let's bring some people together. Research and links, the Synarchist Empire, blah, 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 blah. How interesting. So France provided the brain, the technocratic banking theory. Spain provided the spirit, Catholic phalangist ideology. And Mexico provided the muscle, the actual mass movement of Synarchistas. So we can look into that. We can look at that into Castro, the whole history of the region. I've just begun to look in, but I need to focus on Iran, a video on Iran. So let's get together, and I need to remind you of who's tried to recruit me. I was tried to recruit by Jesuits, Catholic Jesuits, Minister Joe Francis, Royal Australian Navy, Colonel, Special Air Service, Special Forces retired, James McMahon, a very high-level intelligence asset in Australia. I was invited out for beers with them. I was on phone calls with them. They are best friends with our former Jesuit priest in training, Tony Abbott, the former Prime Minister of Australia. I'll get this up. So let me get up Tony Abbott. I got to give you a little theory here. All right. This is who I was invited out with. That is Tony Abbott, former Jesuit PM of Australia, ultra conservative, but he went after the banks on a couple of occasions with his mentor, good old, we remember little Johnny Howard. There he is with none other than Rupert Murdoch and Heinz Kissinger. I was invited out for beers with this man right here and his network. Royal Australian Navy Minister Joe Francis, good man, cleaning out the prison system, getting attacked and stalked. Remember, Jesuits run the world according to all you. Then why were these people attacked? And I'm going to go into this. There he is there. Him and Joshi Frydenberg, you know, Chabad Lubavitch boy. They had a big falling out at one stage. I hear they're back friends again. Let's see where that goes. Here is our friend who I'm invited out for beers with, Tony Abbott, with King Charles and Prince William. No, what's his name? Prince Harry, little coke-rat. I know people in the Royal Australian Navy that were drinking with him out of the Rock of Gibraltar there in Gibraltar, and they said he's an absolute hoot because, of course, he's not his father's son. He's someone else's. This is another guy you don't know. SAS, a good man, Andrew Hastie. Doesn't look like your typical Special Forces soldier, but there he is. And he's in the Liberal Party in the Senate in Western Australia. These are the groups I was invited out with. All right, he came out and said, I did not join the Australian Army to kill children in Afghanistan. That is an ultra-conservative. Catholic. All Catholics, one and all. And they all protected me. I want you to think about that. They protected me in the jail, and they were inviting me out. And I got pissed and told them to fuck off, like I usually do. I almost regret it, because they did a huge amount of work cleaning out the prison system and the drugs out of the prison system and a whole range of things. But look who else is friends with all these people. Kerry Stokes. Do you know who that is? That's best friends with Benjamin Netanyahu, Crown Casino, James Packer, Kerry Stokes, who bought the Rothschild Bible. This guy is Perth boy, born and bred. Did not come from a rich family, but they made sure to mention he had a Spanish-looking mother and he was an orphan. I know people that know him, they say he's a fantastic guy. You know, what am I going to tell you? The West Australian newspaper defended me. Friends of Tony Abbott defended me in that newspaper, and I'm going to get that up. I'm going to get that up in a minute. He also bought the Rothschild Bible, which is a Christian Bible, because I told you, these people are above forms. That's who I was invited out with. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just telling you. Good old Fred Smith, if you didn't know. That is, down here, there is Joseph Davies. Who remembers Joseph Davies? He introduced me to Adam Green, Jeremy Roth Cashel, all of those people. And there he is at the Sicario 2 premiere. Josh Brolin was there and he said, I'm at the premiere of Sicario 2. How cool is that? That's Molly Smith. They produced some great movies, La La Land, Sicario 1 and 2, Blade Runner 2049. Guess what? Did you know how closely Molly, here's the link, works with French directors? Watch Blade Runner 2049. There's so much Masonic symbolism in that movie. She works with a whole bunch of French directors. June also, all the French directors. And the return of the Windsors, which is really, June is actually the remake is a return of the Windsors to the Middle East. That's what that's about. So here he was, and I said, tell Josh Brolin to say, fuck Israel, I dare you. And he laughed and said, no, I won't be doing that. So anyway, that was his Insta, but he was sending me text messages, okay? You all remember Joseph Davies. Joseph Davies' mother is Fred Smith's sister, and Molly Smith is his cousin. These are the people who have contacted me. I blurred out this image. This was a private photo and said, here I am, my uncle is at my house. I went, oh, that's cool. And there's Fred Smith, FedEx, Skull and Bones, best friends with George W. Bush, sitting at Joseph's house. They are Joseph's kids, and I think that's Joseph's brother. Okay, have I made my effing point? Have I? I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you. And another, my little coke angel, Leah Mackenzie Kernan. There we are in Takiscopan, there we are in Kiritaro, where I am right now. I know where that is, happier times. That was a few days after the coke incident. She admitted she took cocaine. Please understand, I don't care about cocaine. Cocaine is harmless compared to alcohol. The point was, it's illegal in Mexico, and I didn't expect the sister of Colonel Andrew Kernan, Deputy Counsel Fiscal, in control of the $1 trillion Pentagon budget. That's him there. Army Ranger, was originally tapped to command JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, at one stage. That was General Milley's JAG, his head lawyer. General Milley's office door, Colonel Andrew Kernan's office door. And I'm in bed with his sister. Hello. I'm getting visits by JSOCs on the phone in Tampa, as the Ospreys are landing, handing out my videos. SOCOM, who've killed a bunch of high-level Taliban and Al-Qaeda down there, or Taliban down there in Afghanistan. I got all their photos, all their histories. They're all friends with 82nd Airborne, Johnny the paratrooper. Remember, he was in the Shadowgate too. He's coming down having a visit. Hello? He's now the Deputy General Counsel Fiscal. Mr. Kernan is the Deputy General Counsel Fiscal of the Office of the General Counsel of the Department of Defense. In his role, Mr. Kernan is the department's most senior attorney on matters of congressional appropriations, serving as the principal legal advisor to the Undersecretary of Defense, the Comptroller, remember old Rabbi Dov Zakheim, and the broader Office of the Secretary of Defense staff. In my bed! There's a fucking passport. Let's go on. Got to be careful getting angry. I was listening to my tarot card readers. Yeah, I listen to tarot cards. Remember, I'm a 9th house sun Scorpio. I read the Bible, but I do whatever I want because I'm pretty confident God's going to tell me exactly where I need to be. You know, here's the trouble with you religious people. You sit in that book reading rules and regulations like a fucking Pharisee, pulling apart sentences, pulling apart things. It's in your heart. You either got it or you don't. You've either got that fucking connection which says go left, not right. No, Brendon, don't look at that. That's bad. That's good. All right? I study the occult because I want to know how they think. I study the occult because I've got a 9th house Scorpio with a whole bunch of other planets, and we're going to talk more about that. I want to know how they think and what they do, where they do it. I'm not afraid of this shit. I'm not fucking afraid. Who can go against God? Andrew Kernan. Mr. Kernan assumed the Deputy General Counsel fiscal position after 25 years of active military service in the US Army, with 20 years as a judge advocate. Immediately preceding his current role, Mr. Kernan served as a Senior Associate General Counsel with the Fiscal Division. Other prior positions include Deputy Legal Counsel to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, and numerous leadership roles within legal offices, advising commanders and senior decision makers within the Department of the Army and its operational units at the Corps Division, corps, division and brigade level, as well as those advising various subordinate units or task forces of the US Central Command and US Special Operations Command. He is a combat veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan wars, born in Oklahoma City and raised in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Mr. Kernan was commissioned as an artillery officer. Maybe he knows good old Preston Stewart. Following graduation from the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he earned a bachelor. That's a very fucking smart man, I can tell you that much. You want to know why I get fucking angry? I'm so fucking tired. Poor me, but I'm fucking tired. I am an ordinary person. I'm a former registered fucking nurse. I have no links. I'm from Perth, Western Australia. Yes, SAS Campbell Barracks is there, full of military intelligence. Garden Island Naval Base, that's why Minister Joe Francis served on the frickin' Collins-class submarine, which started this all for me. I'm a normal person. You talk with people. My friends write speeches for politicians. My friends are lawyers. My friends are doctors. My friends are nurses. My friends are drug dealers. My friends are prostitutes. My friends are strippers. I love it. I speak to anyone with my Aquarius rising and my dark side. So I find so much fucking information. I'm the town gossip. I'm an ordinary person. And it all started when fucking Timothy Richard Paini, detective, threatened me at my house. There is where it started. Paini, who got up and lied on the fucking oath, put his hand on the King James Bible and lied. I didn't say that. I didn't threaten you. I didn't say that. And I told him to get the fuck off the stand. Literally, that's what I said in the court. He ran off that stand as fast as his little leg, wired as a ghost. I should have just grilled the fucker. But I was being nice because I liked Superintendent Barry Shelton. He made a few fuck-ups, but he was a good, decent man. And you could see the fighting and the infighting going on within state counter-terrorism. As Minister Joe Francis said, yeah, I've seen all these Masonic lapels on all my prison officers, half of my prison officers, when I hand out their 20-year service awards. He was threatened. You know how badly this Jesuit, because Jesuits run the world, right? If they run the world, he had to bring in an SAS commander, James McMahon, to watch his back. He said, you're going to be having beers with me and James, and he's here to watch my back. You're okay, relax. That's a phone call. October the 14th, 2014, to the minister. I said, Minister, he said, call me Joe. This is Minister Joe Francis. Good man, naive as shit, but good man. That is Colonel James McMahon. And he said, and I quote, on a phone call, I'm more scared of my own prison officers than I am of the bikies after I stop their drugs getting into the jail. That is a quote from a serving minister. And that's how I threatened him. Said, if you keep going on with these charges, I'm going to call the minister to the stand. And then they admitted it. They said, yes, contemporaneously recorded on your blogs and so on, that we accept that you did receive such a call from the minister. Should be front page fucking news, but not in Perth, Western Australia. You're never breaking through the cult. There's another picture of them. Joe Francis and Colonel James McMahon, all Jesuits. Now look at this. Just after the phone call, a few days, so this is October the 24th, 10 days later, Corrective Services Minister Joe Francis clashes with notorious sex offender TJD. And they warned that the minister needed to take his security more seriously. It was a threat, but he's a Jesuit. I thought he ruled everything. He's inviting me out for beers and I'd be okay. And we'll talk about a lot of things. They were bringing me in, and someone said, that's the intelligence community bringing you in, dickhead. You're not the military, you're not the police, you're not part of the family, they're bringing you in. And you told them to go fuck themselves. Brendon, do you think you have emotional stability problems? I said, probably. But they said they would sort out that fucking corrupt prison officer who I threatened to kill, promised to kill, Liam Samuel Cashman. That's the main charge still against me and a warrant for my fucking arrest. Bring it on, bitches. They'll never do it. They don't have the fucking balls. They know what'll happen. So here's Jesuit minister, friends with our Jesuit Prime Minister, former, who's hanging with Murdoch and Kissinger and the Windsors, and yet they're scared of his own prison officers and had to get a special forces commander to protect him. And he's getting threatened 10 days after a phone call when he told me over the phone that his staff was so incompetent they didn't know the difference between $100 million and $1 million in the sex offender GPS tracking budget. And lo and behold, 10 days later, a notorious sex offender called TJD turns up in the car park, opens a suitcase and starts complaining to the minister with his GPS tracker on about all the horrible conditions he has to face. And another news article was, Minister lax about security 10 days after our phone call. Strangely, the Jesuits appear to be getting threatened by someone, but we're not quite sure who it is because you keep telling me the Jesuits run the world. You know another Jesuit that was there? Justice Mazza, M-A-Z-Z-A. Best judge there, Justice Mazza. He was disgusted. And you know what? Just before I got out of jail, you know what he wrote? He wrote an article. And you know what the title of that article was? I need to get that up. The name of the article was Jesuits no longer dance to tune of former masters. That was the name of the article. Took up 2/3 of a page of the local West Australian newspaper run by Kerry Stokes, best friends with Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu is an asset of US intelligence. Jesuits no longer dance to tune of former masters. I saw that article in the West Australian, and after I left, they banned the newspaper. They stopped that. You couldn't buy the newspaper. You have to go to a central area to read the newspaper. You're not allowed to cut out the articles because I cut articles out every day. I got the newspaper. I cut that article out. I rang Graham, a friend of mine, said, Graham, get that article. Graham cut that article out. So when I leave the prison, I go through you've got to hand in all your stuff. You body search before you leave. You put your civilian clothes on before you leave out in January 2014. And I go in, and when I get home and I'm seeing if my laptop works, and my laptop was fucked, been sitting in a cellar. Thanks, Graham. I know you did the best, but you can't put a laptop in the bottom of a cellar with the bag open. I'm sorry. But anyway, obviously it got moisture and wouldn't work. But I go to find that newspaper article. Gone. Graham, have you got Jesuits no longer dance to tune of former masters by Justice Mazza, who ruled on my case? I said, yeah, I've got it. I'll go and get it. Comes back 15 minutes later. It's gone. I don't have it. Fact. That's the lengths they went to. That's the lengths. I was walking around the Oval at Wooroloo Prison Farm with Peter Schack. Do you know what Peter Schack is? It's a bit like a Karl Rove. Bit like a Karl Rove. Top level Liberal Party. You don't know Prime Minister Bob Hawke, but he's famous in Australia. He's the old drunk, socialisty type, Labor Party Rhodes Scholar, like a Clinton. Loved though, because he was an old drunk. He'd get drunk on television. It's very funny. And Bob Hawke's sworn enemy. This is big in Australian politics. Obviously, it's local Australian politics. Bob Hawke hated Peter Schack. I was walking around the Oval with Peter Schack. Peter Schack is best friends with Tony Abbott, Minister Joe Francis and James McMahon. Jesuits no longer dance to tune of former masters. So all this power, all these Jesuits, all of this stuff going on, but they're all getting threatened. I find that pretty interesting. Don't you? That's the shit that's been going on in my life. It's all in my 1,018-page document. It's linked below. It's always linked below. My UN refugee document. 1,018 pages, newspaper articles, everything linked. So with that in mind, when you are being approached at that sort of levels, like Alex Jones always says, well, I can't tell everyone because I'm at this very high level. Yeah, I'm being approached by the fucking highest levels. Do you think I like it? You think I fucking like it? Do you think I like living on $4,000 a month, 1,000 a week, which is probably 8 to 10,000 in the US before tax? You want to live on that? You want to live on that? I got no pension. I have no assets, no house, no car, no fucking nothing. I have nothing. I have $4,000 in my account. I tried to make a life here. You know what a disaster that was. God willing, Pluto's going to live soon. It's sitting right in my ascendant. It's square on my freaking sun. It's got me compressed down like this, but it is easing a little. That's why I've had so much trouble with my health as well. Are you going to listen to me? I'm out for the truth. So I accept where I am. God has me here, no one else. And, this is that self-mutilation, crystal meth. This was this clavicular. I want to link it all into this Synarchist movement, all this stuff, all these pretty boys. Well, these very pretty boys. All right, this young fellow. This is Nick Fuentes' little gay friend. He's not gay. This one, he's in the news. If you don't know, he's a huge youth. He's all over telling people take meth to suppress your appetite to lose weight. Take steroids. There he is. He's hammering his face to cause micro fractures to improve his looks. They're talking about the hunter eyes, the slant of the eyes, the jawline. It's straight out of Nazi Germany, National Socialist ideology. And that's where you get into Satanism and the Superman, the Übermenschen. I'm going to link all of that together. You want to help in the Synarchist movement? I want to know what's going on with all these Catholics running around the United States calling for a Catholic theocracy. I want to link these all in with drug trafficking, Russia, Israel, pushing these violent Andrew Tate-style youth movements. They're running around with diamonds up their assholes and their vaginas backwards and forwards. They're trying to run their bitches and become pimps. Who the hell is pushing this? Look at Andrew Tate's little wizard. Look at his little Kabbalah wizard he had with his friends. Look at this little cloud show. Andrew Tate and his yeshiva lawyer and Kabbalah wizard. Have a look. There's his little Kabbalah wizard. Andrew Tate's a Muslim convert, yeah, and they're all mixing with Chabad Lubavitch, running diamonds, cash, drugs, hookers, all working together, all of them. There's sex deviant Roger Stone talking to Andrew Tate's idiot lawyer, because, you know, Roger Stone, sex orgies, setting people up. He's running around with Chabad Lubavitch, Sheriff Israel, who his son works for, drug trafficking, steroids, growth hormone, trannies. And this guy trained at a yeshiva academy. A yeshiva academy. That's Andrew Tate's idiot local lawyer, complete moron. This is where he trained. Joseph Daniel McBride of the Clan McBride. Oh, he's a pure Scottish Catholic, maybe. Let's have a look. He trained at the Yeshiva University Cardozo School of Law. Wow. How interesting. A yeshiva. Wow. You remember Candace Owens was fawning over Andrew Tate. Perhaps he's a Catholic Mason like good old Candace Owens. Fawning. And he was constantly doing all the hand signals, the Count of Monte Cristo. Remember when they were in the cell and they were talking about the Count of Monte Cristo over and over again? That is a classic Masonic ask for help, the Count of Monte Cristo. And now he's wandering around seemingly with the protection of the president of Chabad Lubavitch. Is Candace Owens going to tell us about Chabad Lubavitch? Maybe Tucker Carlson. That's why you know they're all frauds. They'll never talk about Chabad Lubavitch. Will they? Andrew Tate, the most vile, disgusting animal in full public view, bragging with his brother on his own video, dobbing himself in, slapping bitches, put them on the webcam, con them, steal their money. On video, it's an open and shut case, but they knew they would be protected. That's amazing. Very important to have him fucking put in jail for the rest of his fucking life, like all of them. Well, I want to link all these things. Let's not bury the lead. Let's wind this up. Let's not bury the lead. This was meant to be short. Sorry, I got a bit angry. It will lessen. Beware January 27th, because there's a Pluto-Mars conjunction. And that's sitting on my freaking ascendant, so I won't be leaving the house for a week before or a week after. You can laugh all you like, but this Scorpio Sun 9th house with the moon conjunct Pluto in the 8th house, trining all my stellium in Scorpio. I ain't leaving the damn house. Let's find out about this Opus Dei Synarchist movement. Let's find this network, these seemingly disparate networks with disparate people. You know, they're disparate, this side of politics, that side of politics, but somewhere we know in the center they're all linked together, always. Always. So these attacks on Trump, I need to sort out what all these Catholics are doing in there, whether this is an interscene Catholic conflict. I want to know whether, because the Department of Defense is doing a good job, they're cleaning out Maduro. Maduro just found his I hate Jew. I'm an anti-Semite, I hate the Jews. Boy, you were pretty silent for 20 years, bro, but you just found your legs when you realized you were going to lose power. Then they said, this is why he was removed. And the people running around burning Patagonia, yeah, a lot of Israeli/Jews and a lot of Russians too. A lot of Russians still down here. You need to get the Russians out, the Chinese out. And it looks like you might have to get some of the Synarchist movement out as well, and the German jihad. Look up the German jihad. All right, how the Germans were trying to force the British out of the Middle East. Fascinating, fascinating. Then I begin to understand all the help that Christopher Bolling got. I do believe Bolling was sincere, but I believe he was getting help from what German intelligence. Why? They were getting leverage off the US. France and Germany were intimately involved in 9/11, and they were also warning. See, it's a network. It's Rothschild. It's the snake, the parasite. They have to be gotten rid of. And when you see him ousting their little globalist network like Maduro, supplying all that cocaine slush fund money, Israeli aerospace industries down there in Colombia, altering the aircraft with hidden compartments and the ships with hidden compartments so they can put 6, 10, 15 tons of cocaine in the ships and ship it into Antwerp and Rotterdam to supply the old Rothschild banking cartel with their slush fund, their interscene, their day-to-day interbank slush funds backwards and forwards, vital. No one's telling you that, but I'm telling you that. That is a brilliant stroke to sit off the coast and threaten the EU drug money supply. That's Rothschild, City of London. Let's sort out this tangled narrative. You're going to have to use email. I'll prioritize Patreon, and I want to get Patreon. I'm going to start writing letters to Patreon saying, I want my live stream back, please. And I'm not going to seek legal advice. There's someone I know, but it's like, oh, do I have the energy? But if I have the energy, I might start kicking up a storm. Might start looking into Patreon, who owns it, individual employees. I might start looking into it because I want that fucking live stream back, because I want to plot and scheme with people I get to know who are subscribers, and I want to start working together with people and get people together a little bit and push Mary Silva. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk again soon. I'm going to have a coffee and a break, do some exercises, and then get back in and do this Iran analysis. We'll talk again soon. Oh, I forgot. Where's the end? Oh, there's my favorite one.
Look at these hands. These are workers' hands.
I just love it so much. I don't have the end built in here. Oh, well, another day. I haven't been using my Elgato Stream Deck much. We'll talk soon, okay? All right, Synarchist Movement. Please go get back over. Sorry I buried the lead. All this stuff, who she is, who's going to replace, who's surrounding Trump, all this Catholic Vatican II converts. I got Fatima. Freak, they make me sick. There's clearly some agitation going on. Tucker Carlson's a Catholic's asshole. And all him and Candace Owens, anti-war. Maduro did nothing. Poor Maduro. Maduro doesn't doesn't deal drugs. Oh no. I mean, what? Anna and Cenk all cuddling up with Candace and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. You see where they're meeting? Stop, withdraw back, get out of Eurasia, get out of the Middle East. Listen, people, the bases are being built and they're big. Hey, the US ain't going nowhere. That's why I know Rothschild's on the ropes. Whatever the details are, let's sort them out. Let's get a coherent narrative. Remember the goal of Kissinger and Associates, the goal of Rothschild, the goal of the City of London and that whole network is to remove the United States from Eurasia and the Middle East and to form this multipolar world. And with little Marco talking about, oh, we're a multipolar world order now. It's ridiculous. There's clearly not a multipolar world order because the US would be pulling all their bases out, wouldn't they? And they're slowly but surely removing all these little globalist networks, the drug money and all the rest from the region. You know, Claudia Sheinbaum and her little friend Macron, they've just told Denmark, we're taking Greenland, get used to it. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Look at them panicking. We're sending French troops. Oh, watch. It's good to watch, but let's get a narrative sorted. Synarchist Movement. Who the hell are these people? Pretty interesting. Germany, the Neumann Foundation, Vox, seemingly disparate groups are backing this Venezuelan candidate who's doing this. Very interesting. Let's talk again soon. And these networks are all through Mexico, Central, South America. Witchcraft, demonology, it's fucking everywhere here. Everywhere here. The history of Christos Rey, Christ is King. Somehow I've got to sort it all out. Talk soon. F. Scott Fitzgerald, quote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. This philosophy fitted on to my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, often the impossible come true.
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about, nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Only freedom.